Good evening. I'm Thomas's dad. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our story. On the 7th of July 2012, our family was in the Southern Highlands. My wife Kathy, who's in the audience tonight, were with our two younger children, Madeline, who was 17, and Stuart was 14. We'd just finished watching a movie, and it was about 10:25 that night when we had a call. Kathy thought that it was Thomas, so she answered it. She then came to find me and said, "I don't know what's going on. It's St Vincent's Hospital, and it's something about Thomas. He's been attacked." She gave me the phone, and the person's voice at the other end of the line was very strong. He just said, "Ralph, you need to come to St Vincent's now. It's urgent." I asked him some questions, but he wouldn't answer them. He just said, "You need to leave Barrel and come now." We left within about 15 minutes and arrived at St Vincent's Emergency Department at about 12:15 in the morning. We were greeted by two police officers standing at the doors. It was then that I realised that something was terribly wrong. They asked us if we were Mr. and Mrs. Kelly, and we said yes. They took us back to the back room in emergency, where we were met by the registrar that night. He told us that Thomas had been critically injured and was currently in emergency surgery to take off a part of his skull to relieve the pressure on his brain. We didn't get to see Thomas until 4 o'clock that morning in intensive care. It was a long wait, the longest wait that any parent could possibly have. When we did see him, the neurosurgeon told us that he had little chance to survive. We held Thomas for the next 2 days in our arms and begged him to fight, to stay alive. On Monday night, on the 9th of July at 8 p.m, Kathy, Madeline, Stuart and I held Thomas, our brother and son, as his life support was turned off. I had my hand on Thomas's chest and his heart was beating strong. It slowly started to fade. He then turned blue and he suffocated in front of us. I can't even begin to tell you what that's like for a 17-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy to witness their brother die in front of them, let alone for Kathy or myself. We went home the next day and with immense grief. And a day turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. As our grief grew to anger and then through to determination, we started to reach out to anybody who would speak to us, from politicians in the state government and federal government, to leaders of industry, the police, leaders of alcohol and drug research. We were having 4 to 5 meetings every day for the next 7 to 8 months to try to understand what had changed in society to make it so dangerous. We started the foundation at the end of 2013, and we have some amazing people around us who share the vision and the passion that we have. In 2014, we lobbied the state government for the lockouts and last drinks. We lobbied the state government for changes also in the judicial laws in the Sentencing Act. Of victims of murder, I can tell you that you think that the Supreme Court will support you, but it's the opposite. They don't support the victims, they support the offenders. So a number of changes have been made to the Sentencing Act in New South Wales to further support the victims. We also launched a safe space area in Sydney on the 5th of December just last year. The safe space is in cooperation with the City of Sydney, with the state government, the New South Wales Police, the Salvation Army. And we have a team of volunteers who go out every Friday and Saturday night from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. looking after vulnerable and intoxicated people. Please don't underestimate the size of this problem from alcohol. We were shocked. There are 24,000 incidences of domestic violence in Australia every year. 20,000 victims of alcohol abuse for children. These are only the tip of the iceberg because many of these figures are never reported. People just keep them quiet. 157,000 admissions into our hospitals. 5,500 deaths a year which are attributable to alcohol consumption. Are you aware in this room tonight that 20% of breast cancer is caused by alcohol consumption? Are you aware that more people die from cancer caused by alcohol than melanoma? Are you aware that people who become intoxicated walk onto the road and are hit by a bus or a car? This is common. We have Professor Gordian Falls in the audience tonight from St Vincent's Emergency Department who can share with you all these stats. He sees it every day. We have a massive problem. The cost to the state of alcohol abuse is $3.87 billion. This ties up not only social but our resources, our police force, constantly say that 70% of their resources is tied up in alcohol-fueled violence. Our foundation is not about violence. It's about teaching our youth responsible drinking and to make the right choices when they drink so that they are not a victim of what we have suffered in terms of non-domestic violence, but also in the other forms of harms that can come to all of us. In point of fact, most Australians are somehow touched by alcohol misuse. The funds that you'll donate to the foundation tonight will help us in our foundation. We are only new. We've seen in 2014 admissions to St Vincent's Hospital Emergency drop by 50%. In 2014, we had no admissions for serious brain injury. These are fantastic results, but they're only the beginning. We're looking at long-term behavioural change, which takes 15 to 20 years. This will not help your children, but it would help their children. So our grandchildren will benefit from this. It's time that we break the cycle, the love affair with alcohol. And so your funding tonight will help the foundation's actual viability. I've spent the last 2.5 years of my life working 7 days a week, trying to understand the problems and the issues to make it safer for all of us. But it's now up to the community. Also the government plays a role, but really it's up to us to collectively go, enough is enough of this terrible abuse that we're seeing in our communities. I'd like to thank you. Ours is a sad story. It affects our family greatly every day, but it's a story that has to be told, and that's why I'm standing here tonight telling you, because, as I said, everybody in this room can make a difference when you go home tonight to talk to your children, to not allow them to drink before they go out, to not allow your daughters to leave their drinks or to leave their friends. Sexual assault and rape of young, intoxicated females is huge in our community, and it's another area that we'd like to focus on. Thank you for listening, and we do appreciate it.